Hi, my name is Shabbar Ranapurwala, and today I will talk to you about some injury prevention research projects that the Injury Prevention Research Center is doing using North Carolina's violent death reporting system. So, just to introduce myself, I'm an assistant professor in epidemiology at University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and I'm also a core faculty at the UNC's Injury Prevention Research Center. So before I move forward and talk about the things I want to talk today, I would like to thank North Carolina Injury and Violence Prevention Branch, uh, who have been great support of the UNC Injury Prevention Research Center for many years and of my work as well, and specifically the NC-VDRS team, Scott and Tammy, and all of the other people who have from time to time worked on these data set, make them very well available for all of us. So great thanks to them that have allowed us to do the violence prevention work that we have been wanting to do, and uh, really prevented a lot of violent outcomes in the state. Also want to thank the UNC Injury Prevention Research Center, where I'm a core faculty. So before we move forward, I would talk about a list of projects that we are doing using the North Carolina Violent Death Reporting System. Some of these projects are now completed and some are still ongoing. A lot of these projects are funded through grants from the CDC, from NIH. A lot of projects have led to student work, dissertations, some that are ongoing, some that are recently completed or completed in the past. And a lot of the work that happens through this focuses on many different violent outcomes and many different policy and exposures that we are interested in learning about. So here's a laundry list. We have looked at intimate partner violence deaths. We have looked at suicides and homicides, occupational violence deaths, firearm related homicides, suicides, deaths, and we have looked them at these different outcomes in the context of policies like Medicaid expansion and domestic violence protective orders. We have looked at these outcomes in terms of their association with substance use disorders and opioids, in terms of other exposures like occupations or association with how firearms uh, modify some of these outcomes. So a lot of different kind of work has happened in this space at the Injury Prevention Research Center, specifically because NC-VDRS data have been available to us. It would be harder to do a lot of this stuff in the great detail that we have been able to do by just using death certificate data. So NC-VDRS provides a lot of circumstantial and other information that isn't available in the North Carolina Center for Health Statistics data sets on death certificates. In addition to the NC-VDRS, we have also used the National Violent Death Reporting System, which now actually covers all 50 states. So here we have looked at, again, intimate partner violence deaths in many of the states, firearm safety laws and their association with intimate partner violent deaths, or even law enforcement related deaths, also known as legal intervention deaths. We've also looked at uh, subtypes of the deaths because of lethal force by law enforcement. So a lot of different projects we've been working on and have worked on using these data sets, violent death reporting system data sets from North Carolina and from nationwide as well. So what I'm really going to do is walk you through a few of these projects to give you sort of different tastes of what these things look like. If you were exploring a data set just in detail, what it would look like through one project, linking it and trying to validate some other systems, or linking it to um, provide long-term outcomes and all of those things. So let me walk you through a few examples. So first project is looking at NC-VDRS data, specifically focused on NC-VDRS data. And here this project has led to one publication. Actually, another publication or two have come out of this. This is the one that I'm associated as well, so I've put it here. This project looked at intimate partner violence related deaths in North Carolina. And so what we did is we started with the NC-VDRS data. We had the data for these specific 5 years. And during this period, there were 9,682 violent deaths that were in NC-VDRS. Of those, 8,976, or about 93%, had known circumstantial evidence. And of those, 2,437, or about 4.9 per 100,000 person years as a rate of deaths were homicides. And when we further drill down in the homicides, about 350 of them were intimate partner homicides, and 2,087 of them were non-intimate partner homicides. So just by looking at this, you'd be like, oh, intimate partner homicides is not a big problem. Why are we focusing on that? Well, for first, 350 people died, so it is a problem worth noting. But it is also a problem worth noting for many other reasons, and I'll just go into details on the next slide. So here we see that of, again, just same division, 350 deaths and 2087 deaths. So if we look at the 2087 deaths in this, the rates are again very different. You can just, by looking at the numbers, you can tell that the rate of intimate partner homicide death is much lower than non-intimate partner homicide deaths. Now, let's look at a few more details and see why it is so important to focus on intimate partner homicide. So when we look at this, we see that majority of these non-intimate partner homicide deaths happened in men, and so the rate in men was much higher than women. When we look on the other side, the majority of the deaths actually happened in women. And then when you look at the rates, the rate of death uh, from intimate partner homicide among women is the same as the rate of death uh, from non-intimate partner homicides among women. So you see that majority of the intimate partner homicides actually are with women. Also, the ones that are men who die in intimate partner homicide deaths, these men are also, a lot of these men who died were actually killed by their partner, uh, who were actually victims of intimate partner violence. So they got so frustrated, and sometimes even in trying to protect themselves or their kids, they ended up committing homicides. So if we look at, again, as a bar chart, this example, you can see what the issues here are. So uh, women die a lot more commonly in intimate partner homicide deaths is the bottom line here. All right. Younger women have a higher risk of intimate partner homicide, and to look at that, we can look at that through a simple graph like this here. We can see that uh, the rates are much higher for women aged between 20 to 44, and then they sort of come down, but they still remain higher than men. We also see that Black and American Indian women have a higher risk of intimate partner homicide death, and so that would be here compared to white women or Asian women or Hispanic women or other unknown. So those deaths are much higher. Um, we also looked at what was the most common weapon for that, and we found that it was firearms in most cases. 219 or 63% of deaths uh, happened using firearms. Now on to the second project example, where we did a linkage of North Carolina violent death reporting system with another data source. So let's see what we did there. So this was a pilot project where we linked law enforcement related deaths from North Carolina violent death reporting system to media source data known as mapping police violence, or here on this slide noted as MPV. and we wanted to see how good MPV captures legal intervention deaths or law enforcement related deaths. Um, on the slide I've said LI, which is legal intervention as well. So sorry, I've used it interchangeably. We found that there were 56 LI deaths in NC-VDRS, and MPV had 73 LI deaths for the period we were looking at, and 53 of those deaths were common. There were 3 in North Carolina violent death reporting system that were not in MPV. So there were, in terms of the other 20 extra deaths that MPV had, 5 of them were, one was homicide, 2 suicides, 1 undetermined, 1 in fact wasn't even considered as a violent death per the North Carolina violent death reporting system. And there were 15 other that were traffic related deaths that were part of mapping police violence, which were not in North Carolina violent death reporting system. So this was just a project to show you can do different kinds of linkage projects as well using NC-VDRS. A third project now looking at the National Violent Death Reporting System. This is a project that's completed. This paper that came out of it was a student project where the student used this work for her thesis and for her master's degree. So here we were looking at firearm regulatory strictness on intimate partner homicide, the impact of firearm policies on intimate partner homicide and homicide suicide. So to put this entire project on one slide in simple manner, we were looking this in 16 states using national data from 2010 to 2016, and we found that as the number of firearm safety legislative provisions increased in a state, the intimate partner mortality or violent deaths, homicide deaths, actually went down, and homicide suicide deaths also went down. And if you just combine the two, total intimate partner homicide deaths, they all went down. And states that had more than 40 firearm safety laws had 56% fewer intimate partner homicides. So this was a very well conducted study. Kudos to the student who worked on it so hard and got this published. Now looking at our fourth and final example. Here we are doing linkages again, linking North Carolina violent death reporting system and violent death reporting system from 2 other states to other data sources to do a policy evaluation. And this study is TDC funded. So let me just walk you through briefly about what the study is. So this study is looking at the effects of Medicaid expansion on deaths from opioid overdoses, suicides, and homicides in people who were previously incarcerated. So we get data sets on people who were incarcerated and released from incarceration from all 3 states, Rhode Island, Kentucky, and North Carolina. Rhode Island and Kentucky have Medicaid expansion. Rhode Island has full, Kentucky has partial, and North Carolina does not have a Medicaid expansion. And we take these data sets on people who were previously incarcerated and their incarceration release data, and we take them and link them with each of the states death certificate data and with each of the states violent death reporting system data. And when we do that, we get lots of rich information about suicides and homicides and the outcomes we're interested in, and then essentially compare the states over time moving forward from 2009 to 2019 is the study period we're interested in looking at. So that's what this project is about. We have gotten data use agreements from most of these states and the data sources, and we are now sort of in the process of linking the data sets and moving the project forward. So that's essentially what I had. I've just put this list up again of the projects that we have ongoing from North Carolina violent death reporting system data, and I'm happy to take any questions right now or by email. Thank you.